A lot of locals from the Stafford, what is usually a Friday night program once we do get up and running, and they're used to running modifieds for the most part. Guys like Teddy Hodgdon, last year's SK Light Modified champion, Bryan Narducci, who's been quick in practice, Mike Christopher Jr., all among the top dozen or so in this practice session, all looking to knock off the guy that's won the first two races here tonight, and that, of course, is Parker Retzlaff. It's going to be fun to watch. A very diverse field, and I'm interested to see what these Stafford regulars are going to do in an ARCA car, a car that a lot of the Stafford guys are, for the most part, unfamiliar with.
And Tim, we look through the practice order, and we expect to see Parker Retzlaff on the top of the chart, but he was not. He was fifth fastest overall, and as times begin to roll in from qualifying, this will be the tail of the tape here. The top six are going to lock in, so certainly something matters as you see Brett Moffitt, the driver out of Iowa, taking that GMS racing car down to turns 3 and 4, and he's been pretty stout here in some of these, just hasn't quite had the luck yet.
Yeah, it was great to see him Saturday night during the Saturday Night Thunder for eNASCAR. Leighton Sabile has been really quick in these first two Grand National Tour races, so we'll see what he can put on the board here. Still waiting for a couple of those drivers to come on the racetrack, and Tony, with this 5-minute session, a lot of these drivers waiting till the end, waiting for the track to potentially cool down a little bit and try to get their fast lap on the racetrack as Jesse Love comes to complete another lap.
Well, I almost thought that was Cole Trickle making a lap here, but then I had to do a double take at the photo down there. Thank goodness we had that, or we would have been all kinds of confused as Jesse Love puts his lap in. Currently, Chase Cabry is fastest on the board as Garrett Smithley finishes his attempt to qualify. And these drivers, Kyle, they're all over the board. I mean, there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of talent here, but dadgum, they are close in time trials.
They are, and like you mentioned at the top of the show, a very unique racetrack, unlike Irwindale, unlike South Boston, and we got a car up and over in turn number 1. It's an interesting take and heading into turn number 1, but not a lot of banking here. This is a driver's racetrack, and I think the Stafford regulars will have a bit of an advantage because of that, because not a lot of banking. You can't overdrive turn 1 and turn 3. That's where we see so many mistakes, not only here, but also in the real world as well when we get at it on Fridays.
What is it that makes each end of this racetrack so unique, Kyle? As we see Chris Rice from Colleague Racing making his attempt here in qualifying in the leaf filter and the Nutrien car. What makes it so unique?
The banking is different, and it's not much. I believe it's 6.5 in 1 and 2 and 9 in 3 and 4. I may have it backwards. Glen Reen on the racetrack now, a Stafford regular, and he'll should have this figured out. But yeah, it is tricky. The lengths of the straightaways are also different. The backstretch a bit shorter than the front stretch. So overall, a very non-symmetrical oval, and when you look at it quickly from above, it looks very symmetrical. So poses a lot of challenges for these guys and girls here tonight. Cassandra Cole in the field, one of the regular female competitors at Stafford.
Yeah, and she right now has yet to crack the top 10, but who has cracked the top 10 as we watch Trevor Huddleston, who calls Irwindale Speedway home, is Corey LaJoie. He's currently fastest on the board, Tim, as we see Josh Berry out making his attempt, and Josh Berry has yet to crack the top 10 with his effort, so big surprise there for a guy that's normally really good. And Shane Wyatt comes out. A lot of late takers here in this session, too.
Yeah, Barry's actually P2 on the board. He went to the top after Corey LaJoie was there, and then Parker Retzlaff bettered his lap and went to the top of the board there as well. So you've got 3 fast drivers at the front. We'll see how they race, but they might have to wait for the feature event, Tony. You mentioned we're locking in the top 6, so those guys might have to wait to get some race laps until that 100-lap main.
Yeah, those race laps are going to be important, and it's going to be fun to see how these heat races play out. A little bit longer heat races this week. In fact, more heat races this week. We have 3 heat races, each 20 laps in distance, so a little more time to get the job done, and then 2 last chance dashes, 10 laps apiece. So we'll take 6 from qualifying, 6 from the heats, and a total of 4 from those last chance races, Kyle. 2 from each one. Certainly track position, it appears, is going to be at a premium tonight, as one of your regulars up at Stafford, Matt Swanson, is on track.
Yeah, Matt Swanson driving Old Blue, the famed Bowler family racing entry.
Wait, that's usually a modified, right?
I was going to say, it's usually
Yeah.
a modified and has been a modified since, I believe, the 1960s, but appearing as a stock car here tonight. And yeah, he's been running every Friday night as well, part of the Stafford iRacing program. Hey, look at that, a shocker on the pole there, Tony.
Yeah, Parker Retzlaff, fastest overall. He, Josh Berry, Mike Christopher, Corey LaJoy, Brian Narducci, making a good showing for the New England short trackers. He will lock into the feature in 5th, and Chase Cabry, one of the early qualifiers, also locking himself in. And Tim, that means Todd Gilliland, Landon Castle, Leighton Sabile, they're going to be leading these fields down for the heat races. And you see some other talent scattered throughout. There's Derek Kraus, Giovanni Bramante, Harrison Burton, old Timmy Hill, a big winner of the NASCAR Pro Invitational Series at Texas. He's got some work to do tonight.
Yeah, these drivers you continue to see up here, they'll have decent starting positions in their qualifying heat, but they'll also have to be up on the wheel to make sure that they can lock themselves in through these heat races. And as you can see in the background, those drivers that made it into heat race number 1 starting to grid on the racetrack. Tony, it looks like 16 strong for heat race number 1. We'll take 6 as the pace car rolls off.
So don't be in the back third field, essentially, is what this is going to amount to. And here is the starting lineup for heat race number 1. Again, top 6 will make their way in. Here you see Peter Bennett, one of the locals, alongside of Todd Gilliland, Eckes, Bramante. Ty Gibbs also in this one. They haven't talked a lot about him through time trials. And some more faces that are familiar to you, Kyle, in this one.
Yeah, Teddy Hodgdon there in row number 4. We saw the mellow yellow scheme a bit earlier for Jesse Love, Will Rogers, Andrew Molleur, and Matt Swanson, a couple of Stafford modified regulars as well.
There's Ryan Flores. He was the car we saw earlier on his lid in turn number 1. Apparently trying to drive it like an indoor racetrack, as he does so often up in New England, but it doesn't do the same thing here in the sim. They usually like you to keep it with the rubber side down. Well, that being said, 20 laps to go. That's, yeah, it should be 20 laps in these heat races. And Tim, the keys to getting through here tonight, I know patience is going to be one, but what else do you think it's going to take to get your way, A, into the show, and B, to victory lane?
In these heat races, it's going to be watching lap traffic, Tony, as the 38 of Gilliland already gone through 3 and 4. Green flag is up. We are underway here at Stafford. Top 2 going to get single file. Christian Eckes takes a look over Peter Bennett. Keep the car clean. Keep it out of lap traffic. There's no cautions in these heat races. Keep it straight. You might find yourself within a bubble position before we head to lap 20.
And so far, so good. Everybody able to mind their P's and Q's, at least up front. By this time last week, Kyle, we had widened up half the field with a couple of mistakes. And looks like Parker Kligerman, Byron Daly, those in race control, they have put the fear of the black flag into these racers. This is what we expect from all these professionals. This is starting to look exactly like what we come to expect from these guys.
And everybody huddled up right on the bottom of the racetrack off of turn number 4, which is also the primary groove, especially for the stock cars. We hope to see the groove open up as more rubber gets laid down onto the racetrack. We typically can see that in the modifieds, and we hope to see that here tonight for these heavier ARCA cars, as Giovanni Bramante runs among the top 5 right now, just ahead of Timmy Hill, just behind Christian Eckes.
In fact, the top 8 or so cars have broken away from the field, so this is certainly a chance for these guys to kind of get a chance to feel themselves out, see what this car does in a long run, Tim, because so many of these drivers seem to focus on time trials and practice that this might be the most laps consecutively they put together all afternoon.
And it's great to see them get some green flag laps in as you ride on board with the Hill Motorsports number 56 at Timmy Hill, currently running in position number 5. And looks like there might be some lap traffic ahead of the field. That might be Huddleston ahead of the leaders, but nobody really wanting to make a move up here, Tony. They're all locked into a transfer position, at least at this point in the top 6. Kind of ride right now and get some laps in. We're working lap number 6.
6 laps in, and pretty soon could be to halfway. Now, up note, Trevor Huddleston, as you mentioned, Tim, going to be in danger of going a lap down here in just a few moments. iRacing has a license structure, a tier system, if you will, Kyle, where generally the more experience you have, the higher your rating. Basically, you're qualified to drive higher level cars in the official series. And in private races, this will be referred to, you can race whatever with whatever. But Huddleston, one of the few drivers with a rookie level license, and looks like maybe some of that inexperience coming in here tonight.
Well, and that kind of surprises me. I'm sure he's fairly new to iRacing. because, he's a great driver on the racetrack, no doubt a championship caliber driver on the West Coast. So maybe he's new to the program, new to the platform. And there are a lot of drivers like that have went out, got their sims over the last 6 or 7 weeks, and are trying to build their rating. And a lot of the Stafford drivers are doing just that and trying to build their rating as well. So Huddleston, though, struggling here tonight, a lap down, currently 15th and off the lead lap.
Looking there, speaking of Stafford drivers, Kyle, Peter Bennett carrying the flag for your guys up there right now. He's in between a couple of Truck Series superstars in Todd Gilliland, Christian Eckes, Giovanni Bramante. Peter Bennett's got to be pretty proud of himself right now.
And he's a full-bodied stock car driver at Stafford, does not run in the modified, so I guess it's not all that surprising that he is showing the way and carrying the Stafford flag right now in the second spot, just ahead of Eckes and Bramante, Timmy Hill, Ty Gibbs in that sixth spot. Then it's Matt Swanson in Old Blue trying to race his way in just out of the frame there in the sixth spot as the field comes back off of turn number 4.
So watch Todd Gilliland lead the train. Tim, you can see further back, there is Ty Gibbs, that sixth and final car. And like Kyle alluded to, Old Blue needs to, he might be seeing red here soon. There's about 4 car lengths that may be very hard for him to make up as time goes on.
Timmy Hill saw Ty Gibbs working his way up through the field a couple laps ago, kind of flashed the nose on Gio Bramante and couldn't make that move stick. Timmy Hill up the racetrack a little bit. Ty Gibbs looks underneath, but nothing doing there as you ride on board with the 18. Admittedly, Tony, he told us a couple of weeks ago during the Saturday Night Thunder deal, he was still learning this iRacing sim, the ins and outs, but he's caught on mighty quickly as he's currently in that bubble position. And right now, putting a little distance between himself and Old Blue back there, but Swanson kind of reeling him in. We might have a battle for the bubble before this thing's all said and done.
Yeah, I almost wonder if Ty gets a little impatient. Does he lay the bumper to that back of the 56 car of Timmy Hill? And that might not just be for one spot, because it seems like, Kyle, with these bigger and heavier cars, the inside very prevalent as they, it's hard to pass, it seems like, at least early. As look at this, Bramante now underneath of Eckes from P3.
Eckes slides up, make that, is that Timmy Hill that slides up, and then Bramante just ahead around Christian Eckes. Here's the 18 of Ty Gibbs. He'll go to the inside of Timmy Hill, and now's the time to strike for Matt Swanson, and he's going to do just that. Positions that car on the bottom of the racetrack, unable to get the bite off of turn 2, but still to the inside of Timmy Hill, battle for the transfer.
Yeah, Timmy Hill is about to go from inside comfortably to the outside looking in. Those 10-lap trophy dashes, hooligan races, whatever you want to call them, that's not where you want to be. So Hill slides up and looks like he gets a run, maybe try to the old crossover maneuver, but Tim, it's not there yet. Near contact in turn 3. Timmy Hill does not want to have to go through those events, and he is trying hard.
He's trying to use that boot scoop that he did in Texas a couple of weeks ago on the Pro Invitational Series, but couldn't get it to work. And he can't look behind him because he may lose another position, and he can't afford to lose many more. He's currently on the outside looking in for the main event. He gets right back up to the back bumper. The 3 doesn't move him here, but it could be coming mighty, mighty close. 2 laps to go in this heat.
This is what it's all about as Todd Gilliland continues to show the way up front. The fight is for 6th, the transfer spot between Matt Swanson and Timmy Hill. Swanson has it. Timmy Hill wants it. As they work off of turn number 4, there you see Gilliland and Bennett to the white flag. We'll direct our attention further back to P6 with the 18, the 099, and the 56 of Timmy Hill. That's where it's all at, Kyle.
And it looks like Swanson tiptoeing away just a bit from Timmy Hill. He'll have one more shot through turns 3 and 4 as we watch the leader come off of turn number 4. Todd Gilliland will win heat race number 1. Got some guys going through the grass.
Yeah, and the transfer spot, Tim is going to go to Matt Swanson. So Timmy Hill unable to execute the old boot scoot as he did a couple of weeks ago, and he may have to go boot scooting in the last chance race here in just a little bit. So Gilliland, Bennett, Bramante, Eckes, Gibbs, and Swanson race their way in. Everyone else has to come through the last chance race, and Tim, there's some big names even in the front of that one, but as we go further back, some guys really going to have a tall mountain to climb.
Yeah, there's a couple of drivers on the second page that will really need to go in that last chance qualifier. But you know what I take away from that, Tony? You had two former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers in that race, and Peter Bennett and Timmy Hill. Peter was a winner at Homestead a couple of years ago, finished second in that one, looked pretty good there, and Timmy Hill on the outside looking in. So even the professional iRacers really need to get up on the wheel, especially at these short tracks, as we see heat race number 2 getting ready to grid.
Yeah, heat race number 2 on track, and they'll be led to the green flag with the blue Emu car. He probably used a lot of that last week after the pain in South Boston. That's Landon Castle, Derek Kraus alongside. Some more names, Kyle, familiar to you in the Northeast, particularly Troy Talman in P3.
Yeah, an SK Modified regular at Stafford Speedway. Nick Sanchez alongside. That runs in the ARCA Menard Series. Jagger Jones and Travis Braden. A couple of more young ARCA stars there in that third row.
We see Cassandra Cole, Legend Car graduate, now up to the SK Mod. She'll be up in the 10th spot. Travis Hydar, there's George Bessette. And, Glen Reen, former ARCA Series, was K&N, now the ARCA Series racer. He's back there in P11. And Tim, Ryan Vargas, surprisingly bad qualifying run for him as well.
Matt Mills, Tyler Truex, two drivers that we expect to be up near the front of the field before this thing is all said and done. They've got some work to do, though, from row number 7 as we get ready to see the green flag next time by. Castle and Kraus on the front row. We've seen Sanchez do some big things here in the last couple of events as well, between here and the NASCAR Roots on Monday night. So expect big things out of the 6 car. He's currently in a transfer position, Tony, but you better believe he wants that 8th place qualifying position by winning this heat race.
He would love to win this thing for sure. And by the way, if you want to help support some of these short tracks as we get ready to go green, head on over and grab yourself one of these Grand National Tour t-shirts. You can check them all out at the Truex Management Group website or Grand National Clothing Company, and there's their website there at the bottom of that graphic. 100% of those proceeds, Kyle, go to the racetracks in the Grand National Tour. Something pretty cool, and it's a pretty neat little shirt they put together as well.
Mine is on its way as we are under the green flag here and watching Troy Talman in a side-by-side race with, it looks like, Nick Sanchez to the outside, and Talman will get that spot away. Jagger Jones a part of that battle as well. Again, another, well, I was going to say it, and I jinxed it, another clean start, but they're wrecking at the back of the pack. It's like Drew Herring, the first car to get around.
Yeah, Drew Herring was in it. Glen Reen caught a piece of it. Saw another car back there. May have been Ryan Vargas also involved. Shane Wyatt potentially catching a piece of that one too. So a lot of guys further back. Misfortune striking with no cautions, Tim. It makes it that much more imperative that you get through a wreck quickly, but sometimes that those interests kind of compete. You want to get through cleanly and quickly, and oftentimes that leads to more disaster.
Yeah, and I think Tyler Truex may have got a piece of that as well. He was one of those drivers that might have missed the mark in qualifying that had to move up. But speaking about missing the mark, we got a nice little scrape here for the transfer position, the 6 of Nick Sanchez. That is the 26 on your screen, listed as 01 in scoring. That is Travis Braden trying to make his way a little bit closer towards the front of the field, get some insurance on that transfer position. And currently, Tony, he is position number 6. So he's got to get going here, but he's still got a few laps. We're working lap number 5 at 20.
Yeah, defending champion of the Snowball Derby and active super late model racer, races part-time in the ARCA Menard Series as well. And, you know, not a lot of guys can jump into ARCA, Kyle, and win their very first race. Travis did that over at Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis a few years ago. I think he surprised himself in the process, and ever since then he has been hooked on some of these regional tours of NASCAR, and of course trying to improve his career. And very talented driver that originally hails out of the Wheeling, West Virginia area.
Won that race back in 2015 and at Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Built IRP to me, and I think might always will be a great little short track there just outside of Indianapolis, as there was one car off the pace there. The leaders race by to the outside. Travis Braden right now in 6. Travis Hydar, a street stock regular at the Stafford Speedway on Friday nights and multiple-time race winner, just outside of the transfer right now, running in the 7th spot, just a couple of car lengths back, and then it's a mile back, I believe, to Matt Mills in the 8th position.
Yeah, Hydar is that light blue car you may see at the top of your screen. He nearly caught the wall off of turn number 2, and he is losing ground to Travis Braden and the rest of the top 6. They continue to circulate. Behind this guy, Landon Castle. We have seen him on many occasions, Tim, have a shot to win many of these races, and for whatever reason, just cannot close the deal. He's hoping for some good luck tonight, I'm sure.
And he's been doing a lot of racing on the iRacing service. He's been racing some B-Fix and some C-Fix races as well, and some different things throughout the service in the last little while. So he's been keeping active and sharp that way. Derek Kraus has been poking the nose a couple of times down to the inside of Castle, but I think he's content to ride right now as we just passed the halfway point in this event, 10 down and 10 to go. The 03 of Talman doing a great job back there in position number 3 as well, and it looks like your top 5 breaking away a little bit from position number 6, and Braden has a little bit of an advantage on Hydar for that final transfer position here.
And a little bit of an advantage is all it's going to matter, but Kyle, I would imagine some of these drivers may be in danger, even in a 20-lap heat race, of burning their tires off. I can imagine that with the uniqueness of the geometry of this racetrack, that even in real life sometimes a little bit of tire conservation probably does not hurt here, Steph.
It's easy to do, especially with these heavier full-body stock cars. The modifieds don't see as much of an issue. Street stock's not much of an issue, but the late models in real life, we do see that issue, and we could very well see that.
Problems! Derek Kraus is in it, Talman, and we've got most of the top 6 getting wadded up. Jagger Jones is in the middle of that one too, and that is a race-changing accident. Looked like they got tangled up there for a second and third, Kyle, and that changes everything.
Yeah, going into turn 3, Braden, Hydar, Sanchez, Troy Talman, Derek Kraus, I believe one of the first cars involved, and we stay under the green flag. No caution flags here in these heat races, so that gives Landon Castle a fairly substantial lead, as everybody from second on back were either involved or had to check up.
And Tim, it's one of those deals that just kind of look like old-fashioned short-track racing. Maybe the 03 of Talman just a little bit too hard in the corner, but traditionally on the service, some of these short tracks, you really can charge the corner and make the car stick, or at least on sticker tires, maybe not on 15-lap-old tires, and looks like maybe just an innocent mistake on one driver's part.
And it separated this field a little bit now. You see that battle there. There is your transfer position, or your final transfer position. That is Troy Talman. He's got Derek Kraus in behind him by about a quarter straightaway. So Kraus has to get up on the wheel. It's about a second or so in advantage for Troy Talman. And then in behind, you got Jagger Jones as well, and he's about a second or so behind this 19 of Derek Kraus. So it's separated the field a little bit. Up front, Landon Castle has a 2.6 second lead on Travis Braden. Braden at one point was on that bubble position. Now he's comfortably in position number 2.
See, right on board with Derek Kraus, and laps are winding down. He is closing in on the transfer spot. Kyle, does he repay the favor here? Because I'm sure that kid is not very happy with what transpired.
He might. It was those two that got into it a couple of laps ago. Troy Talman right now on the bubble. Here he comes, looking to the inside, and he's got the run. It's exactly where Kraus needs to be coming into the final lap.
2 to go. Talman now has been moved from inside to first man out. Jagger Jones would love to move himself up one more spot, but ultimately now that mistake has cost Troy Talman more than anybody else, Tim, as the white flag is out and Landon Castle is motoring his way towards a heat race win.
Comfortably by himself up in front. The Blue Emu number 89 will round corners number 3 and 4. He'll come to the checkered flag first, and Landon Castle will win heat race number 2. Braden, Hydar, Sanchez, Mills, and it appears to be Derek Kraus taking that final and 6th place transfer position. Everybody else has to come through a last chance qualifier.
So a little bit of action in that one, and that's what we love about a good half mile like Stafford. You can find any of your favorite NASCAR home tracks online at NASCARHometracks.com. Dozens and dozens and dozens of them across the country to pick from. Landon Castle wins heat race number 2 at this one here at the moment. And there you see again, top 6 transfer in, and 7th on back, Talman, Jones, and others going to have to come through the last chance shootout here in just a little bit as we'll move our way to page number 2. And these are the drivers that didn't have the greatest of fortunes over the course of the evening, and they're going to have a really tall hill again, Kyle, come last chance race time.
Yeah, including a couple of Stafford regulars, Glen, Reen, George Bessette Jr., the Mad Dog, Cassandra Cole, just a few of those regulars, including Ryan Vargas also, Drew Herring, Jason Bowles, so a lot of names that don't compete at Stafford as well. As you mentioned, a very strong field here tonight, having to go through those LCQs.
Yeah, I guess if they're going to be doing work, we'll have to say that they're going to have to join the LiUNA union group because they are going to be needing some work. There's no doubt about that when it comes time to go to these last chance races. Meanwhile, the guys that are set to do work on third shift, if you will, in heat race number 3 include the pole sitter in this one, Leighton Sabile. There's Ryan Blanchard from up in the Northeast, Timmy Mangini, Harrison Burton, Brett Moffitt, Stephen Parsons in the top 6, Tim.
And then you look at that second page, and you got some names here that are starting on the outside looking in that are really going to have to go. Guys like Ryan Truex, Bronson Butcher, but Garrett Smithley back there in row number 6. He's going to have to get up on the wheel. He's no stranger to this iRacing service.
No, he is not. And there is the LiUNA driver himself, Tyler Ankrum. He's going to have to enlist. He's going to have to enlist the union to do some work here because he's back at 13. He's got his work cut out for him, alongside of Justin Haley, Ray Black Jr., and Taylor Gray back at the tail of this one as well. So Sabile, the unsponsored bright red number 97, going to be on the inside, leading down to the green flag with Ryan Blanchard alongside the turns 3 and 4. Sabile quickly on the jump. He will clear Blanchard, allow Blanchard, Kyle, to get down to the bottom. That's a very valuable spot we've seen here tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly where Blanchard wants to be. Cuts right back in the line behind Sabile. Blanchard, 3 wide now for third. Don't want to move away from that as you got Brett Moffitt off to the inside of Harrison Burton, side by side for a position just into the top 5. I was going to say Blanchard, a regular in the all phases renovations. And around he goes, up and into the outside wall, and about half the field's going to get collected there in turn 2.
Yeah, that was Ryan Truex that got caught up in the 40. That's where it all started. And unfortunately, he is going to need a hot tub again here this week after that one, and he's going to have to come from the back. But that opens the opportunity gates, Tim, for a guy like this, Garrett Smithley, who has grown up on short tracks and legend cars and running some different races with late models, and yes, even in the ARCA series. And he now is potentially in a transfer spot if he can get around Bronson Butcher.
Bronson Butcher on week number 1 of this Grand National Tour made his way in through the Trophy Dash race and said he had to go to school, try to learn some things about this race car and about the iRacing service. And he's gone to school these last couple of weeks, and it's definitely shown on the back bumper of Harrison Burton for that position. And you look at that Jacob Company's number 43 on the back bumper of Butcher. That's Garrett Smithley. Smithley flashes that nose to the inside. The battle for the transfer spot heats up on lap number 5.
Smithley down to the bottom, Kyle. He's got to run underneath the Bronson Butcher. And a lot of guys forget that fabricators and shop foremen and a lot of the team managers like a Bronson Butcher over at GMS, they're no slouches. These guys come from a racing background as well, and it probably drives them just as nuts to lose a spot as it does the guys who are professional drivers.
Oh, absolutely. They're just as competitive as the drivers. And right now, Bronson, the first driver outside looking in. You mentioned team managers is another one in this race as well with Chris Rice from Collie Racing. I believe he was caught up in that first lap incident. He is 17 seconds down in 13th position, but he'll have another shot here in the LCQ as they continue to race hot and heavy just inside of the top 5, or just outside of the top 5. I guess this is round for the 10th position. Kaz Grala's in that battle. Also Bronson Butcher, Ryan Truex. They race back to turn 1.
And this is a bit of a home game, so to speak, for Kaz Grala, Tim, from up around the Boston area. So not a very long drive from there to here at Stafford. And, of course, he's made plenty of trips around racetracks in this region. And despite the incident earlier, Tim, look at this. That marquee hot tub car of Ryan Truex is moving forward. He now inside the top 10, up to 8th, looking for 7th now on Bronson Butcher.
Can't waste a whole lot of time here, though, on this pass. This is the battle for position number 7. The top 6 will get in, so if he wants to get that marquee hot tubs, number 40, into the main event, he needs one more spot. He's going to bring that Fast Fury along for the ride on the inside. The 33 of Kaz Grala will pick up one more, move Bronson Butcher back to position number 9, and he's back on the attack to the inside, but there's that 40, trying to get one more spot at least. It's a good starting position, but right now it's in the LCQ.
Yeah, and while, yes, it's a good spot for the LCQ, you don't want to have to come through that race, Kyle. And I got to give mad props to Ryan Truex. He kind of struggled the first couple of weeks. Problems. Butcher and Grala get together. Butcher goes around. He'll get it rolling. But got to give props to Ryan Truex. Kind of struggled the first couple of weeks at Irwindale and South Boston between bad luck and just trying to get acclimated. It took him, it was a bit of a struggle, but here at Stafford, seems like driver of the 40 car certainly has his act together.
And as he mentioned to me on Twitter earlier today, he has laps here, both here on the iRacing service and in real life, as he drove here back, I believe it was in the NASCAR K&N Pro Days. It might have been back even with the Busch North Series, or maybe not that far back, but he does have real life laps at Stafford Motor Speedway. No doubt that'll help here as he runs in an ARCA car here this evening, but has a little bit of a gap between himself and Garrett Smithley, who currently holds that final transfer spot as they battle among the top 3 right now into turn 1.
Yeah, this fight here for position number 3, Mangini had it. Brett Moffitt just took it away, so he is going to fly on by on his Allegiant Special and continue to kind of hug that yellow line, Tim. Seems like as we get deeper into this run, guys that can make those cars turn and they're not sliding up off the bottom seem to have the best luck when it comes down to the end of the run.
But as you can see, he's got a little bit of a gap to reach position number 2, so he may try to reel him in, Tony, but third place might be the best he can get. You look back to Timmy Mangini and the rest of the field from the back bumper, the Allegiant number 24, Brett Moffitt. Moffitt's got about a second to reach Ryan Blanchard. Sabile is gone by a second up in front. And that battle for that transfer position, well, there's still a little bit of a comfort zone there between Garrett Smithley and Ryan Truex. So 5 laps to go, making 4 laps to go this time by, and these guys look pretty comfortable where they're running.
Well, comfortable for now, but don't look, Garrett Smithley, because in the mirror, Ryan Truex is looming. He may run out of laps as we work lap 17 of 21, 3 to go this time by, but Truex is trying to close in. Kyle, he's less than a second away. That's a pretty tall mountain at the moment, but as we've seen, anything's possible.
It is, with only 2 laps to go, and it looks like Garrett Smithley may be wanting to pad his advantage even more, trying to move around Harrison Burton. But again, they can't race too hard because it'll allow Ryan Truex to close in pretty quick here with now 2 laps to go. So if they were smart, they would settle it out, finish in the top 6, and move on, because you do not want to be part of these stacked LCQ races coming up next.
No, and they are extremely stacked. As you look at Harrison Burton, that car, of course, numbered 20 with the virtual vinyl, but scored as number 12, a traditional family number in the Burton household when they were running back in the Xfinity Series, what was then the Busch Series, and of course back at South Boston Speedway. His dad, Jeff, spent many years racing that number and having great success with it. Of course, now Harrison over at Joe Gibbs Racing, more synonymous with car number 20, but who's synonymous with something? That's Leighton Sabile. He'll be synonymous with the win in heat race number 3. He'll take it and transfer into the A with Ryan Blanchard, Brett Moffitt, Timmy Mangini, Harrison Burton, and Garrett Smithley all racing their way in, Tim, and a little bit of relief maybe for some of those drivers.
And for those drivers that are on the outside, like a Truex, like a Kaz Grala, you look back through the field on that second base, Justin Haley at the bottom here as well. He's going to have to get up on the wheel in the LCQ because we're getting ready to go racing in that. And 2 LCQs, we're only taking 2. So you thought the heat races were exciting. It ramps up intensity for these 2 last chance qualifiers.
Yeah, and these things do not pay anything to win other than a starting spot in the main. Kyle, I'm sure you've seen plenty of these LCQs in your day. As we'll take a look at the starting lineup here momentarily. Usually they earn their nickname as a hooligan race sometimes because it's the last chance. Guys sometimes are driving like hooligans.
There is nothing worse than an LCQ on a full moon Friday night at Stafford Motor Speedway or most short tracks throughout the country because, 1, you'd hate to send guys home, and 2, you know they're probably going to take a while. As you see the front couple of rows, Timmy Hill and Ryan Truex on the front row, Jagger Jones, Andrew Molleur, Ray Black Jr., and another Stafford regular, Glen Reen, there in the 3rd row.
You see Will Rogers, Bronson Butcher, who we just saw, Cassandra Cole. Skip Flores going to have a bit of a challenge in front of him. And again, these races 10 laps long. Top 2 make it in, Tim, and those guys right there in the back row, they probably got they're gonna have the best view of the chaos at least.
Yeah, but you only have 10 laps to get up there and get a top 2 position. You need some luck if you're starting outside the top 10 as they come by this time, and they'll get ready to see the 1 to go signal from the flagman. Timmy Hill, Ryan Truex have been in a couple of those eNASCAR Pro Invitational iRacing Series events, but they've got some hungry drivers in behind. 10 laps, 2 transfer positions. This one is going to get exciting quickly.
Yeah, because because I can sit here and look at the standings and say, wow, there's at least 4, 5, 6 drivers who I think have the speed that deserve to be in the feature, but only 2 of them are going to get the opportunity to showcase their stuff. So 2 of those are leading them down to the green flag as the iRacing pace car ducks off on the pit lane here at Stafford. Timmy Hill quick to the throttle. He'll pull away from Ryan Truex, and already they're going around. Andrew Molleur, problems on the start. Looks like nearly everyone avoided him, but that could have been big, Kyle.
Yeah, right up toward the front of the field for Andrew Molleur. Again, Stafford regular, and there's wrecking again off of turn number 2. Is that the 29, or Ray Black Jr. going around off the corner, and it looks like 1 other, maybe 2 other cars collected back there off turn 2.
And these tires, and they're cold, they don't have a whole lot of grip to them. And it looked like Ray Black may have found that out himself as we keep an eye now on the top 3, Tim. These may be the only 3 with a good shot at transferring in as things currently stand. Timmy Hill, Jagger Jones, and Ryan Truex, that marquee spa car. He's there with a good shot and a good view of this one.
Yeah, Ryan Vargas was involved in an incident already. Will Rogers was tangled up on the front straightaway. You can kind of see him out of this onboard with Jagger Jones as they continue to work around turns number 3 and 4. Timmy Hill leading this thing, and the next car back's about a second back, so Bronson Butcher either needs to get up on the wheel, Tony, or needs something to happen with these top 3 to try to transfer in.
Yeah, it needs something to happen for sure, and you see just the precision it takes to make a lap here at speed around Stafford Motor Speedway, and sometimes it looks so easy from the outside, Kyle, but those drivers, they are busy in the cockpit.
They are busy. It's a momentum track. You need to keep up the momentum through the corners here at Stafford. And again, it's so easy to overdrive with the limited banking. Both in turns 1 and 2 and in 3 and 4. Easy to overdrive 1, easy to overdrive 3. But everybody doing a fine job thus far with Timmy Hill showing the way. It's the Stafford guys and girls that have been struggling. Cassandra Cole, Andrew Molleur involved in early race incidents. Right now, Glen, the only one left running, currently in the 5th position, well outside of a transfer spot, currently held by Hill and Jones.
Yeah, about a second and a half Glen has to make up in these next 5 circuits. So you saw him right there at the very tail off of turn 4, the white and red car possibly back at the end of that group. But yeah, he is going to need some help. The way they're racing, Tim, he might get a little help. We've seen the bumper be used more than once here this evening, and Timmy Hill, famous for using it. Jagger Jones got into it earlier. The good news is they're in a safe spot, but if Ryan Truex gets there, we might see it apply.
Yeah, if you see that 40 car, and it threw it into turn number 1 that last time by to try to pick up a little bit of time and a little bit of space between him and the top 2, but wasn't able to make any inroads there. But he starts putting some pressure on that 98 of Jagger Jones. You best believe that Jones is going to put some pressure on Timmy Hill, but they are running out of time. 2 laps to go. They'll come to the white flag next time by, and if you're going to make a move, Tony, you have to make it now down the back straightaway coming into 3.
I don't know if I want to make it right now because the white flag has to come out. If they can't get back to me if I do it on the white flag lap, so I'm going to at least wait a lap, but I got to get there. In the case of Ryan Truex, he's 2 car lengths shy, Kyle, as the white flag is out. This is the final chance to transfer into the A.
Here comes Jagger Jones, had a look to the inside, then overdrove turn 1 just a bit, slid up. I thought Truex would get there, but he did not. Through turns 3 and 4, Truex has to make a move. He will run out of time, and it will be Timmy Hill. And Jagger Jones finishing 1-2 and advancing to the main event here coming up in a little bit.
So everybody else outside the top 2, they get to put it on the virtual hauler and watch this one from the grandstands, including Ryan Truex, Bronson Butcher, Glen, Reen, Trevor Huddleston, and others. We'll take a look at the finishing order from the first of 2 last chance shootouts. And again, good names going home in this one, Tim.
Yeah, Trevor Huddleston not making the show, Parsons, Rogers, Black, Vargas. Those are names that we're used to seeing in the feature events on this Grand National Tour, but on the outside looking in for this 100-lap main event coming up. But one more last chance qualifier. Looks like we're going to start 13 or 14 here, and we're going to take 2 more as you take a look at your starting grid with Talman and Love on the front row.
Yeah, there's Kaz Gralla after a heartbreak in the heat race. Shane Wyatt, the driver out of Virginia. Kyle Cisco, fancy little hat he's got there from winning some races up in the Northeast. He'll be starting 5th. And look at that, Justin Haley, who had a good run last week, Kyle, at South Boston. He's going to come through the last chance race.
Xfinity Series irregular, and ironically, his GM also in this race. Tyler Truex and Teddy Hodgdon in row 4, Ankrum and Bessette in row 5. Denny, and then there's Chris Rice, the GM colleague in row number 6.
There you see the final 3 starters: Drew Herring, DJ Kennington, and Jason Bowles. It appears Kennington and Bowles may have already loaded it up, so looks like they will not take the green flag in this one. 13 cars for 10 laps. Top 2, Tim, make their way in, and this one should be good because there's a few tempers, I think, lingering from previous heats.
You know, you look back in this field, Justin Haley, Tyler Truex, Tyler Ankrum, drivers that we're used to talking about near the front of the field. They're starting mid-pack, and it's an LCQ. Talman and Love currently in those 2 transfer positions, but I'm sure that is all going to change. And through 10 laps of racing here as we get ready to throw the green flag, Gralla, as you see that Fury in position number 3, he's going to want to make a move. And look at the outside, already want to make a move. Talman fires first, green flag flies.
Yeah, it seems like the restart games are kind of where the leaders really want to play and maybe try to get that extra advantage, because we've seen very few passes up front, Kyle, and the guy who ends up winning the race to turn number 1, that's usually the guy that ends up winning that particular event. As a couple cars slid off on the backside, their race is ultimately over. But look at this up top. Impressive job right now by the driver of the 21, Jesse Love, making the outside work.
Yeah, that mellow yellow entry up into the second spot, holding off Gralla, Shane Wyatt, Kyle Cisco, I believe, all up there in the top 5 as well. I think Teddy Hodgdon was going to keep an eye on him in this second consolation event. He was involved in one of those first lap incidents and is at the tail end of this lead group.
And Teddy picked up a big win, I believe, here at Stafford, the virtual world, a few weeks ago. You guys had the Spring Sizzler, and he was able to go to victory lane, but not quite the case here with all the big boys in town.
Yeah, part of the all phases renovations E-Series that Stafford has on Friday nights, and the very first race out of the gate for that series, Teddy Hodgdon was able to pick up a win. Yeah,
Sorry,
big
Kyle.
wiggle. No, you're good. Big wiggle there off of turn 2 and a nice save, but unfortunately lost a spot, and now he goes around again, up and over in turn 4.
Tough break for Jesse Love. That means Kaz Gralla is going to end up at the moment with the transfer spot, and he did his own version of a boot scoot there, and we see now Tyler Ankrum up to 3rd, and a couple of the race sponsors' cars, Tim, from the last couple of weeks, coming up just a little short at the moment. Tyler Ankrum, he's got a long way to get up here to Kaz Gralla.
Ankrum's been doing work back here, though, Tony. Started position number 9, had to work his way around Truex, and with everything going on in front, has put himself in position number 3. But yeah, you mentioned it. He's got about a second and a quarter or so to catch up to Kaz Gralla. So as long as Gralla and Talman can keep those cars straight, Ankrum's going to have a hard time getting there. But he is faster than those drivers in front of him. I just don't think he's going to have enough time with 4 laps to go.
Well, appropriately, he would be doing work again with LiUNA, the sponsor. And of course, if you're not familiar with them, we encourage you to check them out, LiUNA.org. They've got all kinds of different things they do as far as union representation, whether it's construction, medical, things of that nature. And I know they've got a lot of different groups they work with here in the Northeast, and certainly a big night for them. And Tyler Ankrum trying to do everything he can, Kyle, to close in. In fact, last time around, he was right on pace with Kaz Gralla, but again, running out of laps.
On pace is not going to get him in the show right now with just 2 laps to go. He's going to have to pick up the pace and probably be a half second quicker or more a lap, and I just don't see that happening right now. Troy Talman solidly out front. Kaz Gralla looking in pretty good shape right now in position number 2. It will take a mistake from one of those 2 for Tyler Ankrum to have a shot at tonight's LiUNA 100.
And with the white flag in the air, the chances of those mistakes are getting much, much slimmer. Down the backstretch for the final time, Ankrum going to run out of laps. The 03 of Troy Talman and the 33 of Kaz Gralla, they will race their way into tonight's LiUNA 100 feature event at the Stafford Motor Speedway. And guess what? Tyler Ankrum 1 spot short. There's Tyler Truex, Frank Denny Jr. inside the top 5, and everybody else who comes up on the outside looking in, Tim.
Yeah, for Jesse Love, what might have been was battling up there for that transfer position, ended up on his roof down in turn number 3. But take a look at where your favorite driver finished. Drew Herring started at the back, did some work, but fell to position number 6 at the end of it, and unfortunately it's on the outside looking in. So these drivers will have a brief warm-up session, be able to get on the racetrack and kind of feel out their race car, and then we'll be going racing for 100 laps here in just a bit.
A brief warm-up going to take place before that, and it gives us all a chance, Kyle, to kind of catch our breath and talk a little bit about some of the racing you guys have up here in the Northeast with Stafford and other tracks around. I know Thompson Motor Speedway is where the Modified Madness is going to take place on Monday night on the NASCAR Roots social media channels. So a couple of visits here, the Modifieds, the ARCA cars, to really some staple tracks of NASCAR-style home track racing in the Northeast.
And for motorsports in general. A couple of did-you-knows here. We're here at Stafford now, a track that has been here since 1870, first as a horse racing track, part of the agricultural park in Stafford Springs. It went to auto racing in 1946, and the Modifieds have been a mainstay there ever since. And you mentioned Thompson Speedway. Up the road here, about 30 miles from Stafford here in Connecticut. The Thompson Speedway, the oldest asphalt racetrack in the country. That debuted in 1940, known as the Indianapolis of the East back then. So a lot of history up here in New England, especially in Connecticut. A couple of great tracks, and we're showcasing one of those tracks here tonight in Stafford Springs, Connecticut.
Yeah, fine facility the Arute family has. And I want to say a shout out to the Arute family. You might be watching this on their YouTube channel. And if you are, we certainly encourage you to give it a follow and throw a few comments down. Of course, a reminder as well that proceeds from the t-shirt sales you see on the screen benefiting tracks like Stafford, Irwindale, Five Flags, and South Boston during the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic and the situation surrounding us. So certainly a way to help them keep the bills paid, as that is on screen. And briefly before we go green, our in-race expert analyst Tyler Ankrum has now joined us in the booth. And Tyler, one spot short there as we get set to look at the starting lineup. One spot short. Did you at least have fun? Well, we'll wait to get Tyler Ankrum all wired up there, and sometimes the technology doesn't always work the way you want it to. But front row in this one, a couple of iRacing veterans and veterans of real cars in the process. That'd be Parker Retzlaff and Josh Berry. And Kyle, a couple of your guys representing very well. Mike Christopher Jr., Bryan Narducci qualifying their way in on time.
And Corey LaJoy, who has probably spent a lot of time at Stafford over the years. His family from up here in Connecticut, outside row 2. Then it's Narducci and Cheese Cabri in the third row.
And Tim, here come the guys from the heat races. Again, pretty stout middle section of the field here, led by Todd Gilliland, Landon Castle, and Leighton Sabile.
Yeah, I like the outsides of row 4 and 5. If you're a sim racer, an iRacer, Landon Castle, Peter Bennett have tons of laps here on the service. They'll be ones to watch. Of course, Travis Braden did well in his heat race. He'll line up on the inside of row number 6 with Ryan Blanchard on the outside.
There you see the Visconti Motorsports driver, Giovanni Bramante, Travis Hydar, one of the regulars here at Stafford, Christian Eckes back in 16th, and really a potpourri of different drivers from different series and different homes here, Kyle. I
love it. You got the Truck Series regular in there, Brett Moffitt, Travis Hydar, a Stafford regular, Matt Swanson further back. We'll start side by side with Xfinity winner this year in Fontana, Harrison Burton, just ahead of them, Ty Gibbs and Matt Mills. Derek Krause, a K&N champion, Garrett Smithley, who's been so strong on this iRacing platform, and then we'll wrap it up with Timmy Hill, Troy Talman, Jagger Jones, and Kaz Grala, who qualified their way into this event through the LCQs a few minutes ago.
So 100 laps, and there will be a halfway caution guaranteed at or around lap 50. That being thrown in by series officials this week to kind of give everybody a chance to breathe. We got some feedback from racers that said, hey, sometimes we feel like we're not sure what's going to happen in these deals. We might need a little bit of space. So throwing it back a little old school, and sometimes here at a short track on a Friday, Saturday, or Wednesday night, halfway breaks are the norm to try to keep the costs down for the teams and the racers. The pace car is off. Parker Retzlaff and Josh Berry lead them down. Green flag is out. We are off and racing here at Stafford.
And quickly to the inside, Mike Christopher Jr. going to try to take position at number 2 away from Josh Berry, and Berry might be able to get into the hole in behind. Corey LaJoy has fallen to that inside line as well. Your top 4 single file on the inside, with Gilliland battling with Cabri for position at number 5.
And That is the first side-by-side battle, Gillen and Cabry. And, you know, Todd Gillen's been impressive no matter what he climbs into, Kyle. It took him a couple weeks to get up to speed here on the iRacing service and these particular machines, but Kid won very early in his late model stock career down at Southern National with the they picked up that win with the family team over in the Cars Tour opener, their inaugural event, and ever since then, he's been a force to be reckoned with in the ARCA series, what was the K&N Tour, and ultimately now in the Truck series. He's certainly a talent that has a lot of people's attention even now.
Yeah, and the more laps that young driver gets, whether it be in the Cars Tour or in the last couple of years driving for KBM in the Gander Truck, experience goes a long way, and we'll see that young driver in the 38 car continue to mature. Whether it be in the real world or here on the iRacing platform here at Stafford. As he's in a hotly contested battle right now. It looks like Sibilia looking to the inside.
Yeah, Leighton made that pass look very, very easy, and Leighton's no stranger to this level of racing either, Tim. Sure, you might not see his name on Saturday. We've labeled him with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, but like a Chris Rice, who's a team manager, Leighton is part of the front office of JD Motorsports and a couple other teams he works with. He's a PR guy, a designer, some of the guys that kind of get overlooked sometimes, but just as important to the success of the sport at the top levels.
And very respectable, has raced his way in these last couple of races as well, so keep an eye on that 97 of Sibilia as he runs currently in position number 5. Retzlaff continues to lead, and it's about a half second or so back to Christopher. Josh Berry content to ride in behind that 13 for the moment. Great battle back here, though. One of the best battles in the top 10 is that 38 of Gillen, the 4 of Cabry, and Gio Bramonti also a part of that fray.
And Bramonti's starting to move his way up, and this fight for second starting to pick up as well. 13 of Christopher Jr. He has got his hands full with the junior motorsports driver Josh Berry, and you know, we talked about a couple of times the last few weeks that, you know, Dale Jr. has a unique way of choosing his drivers, his paint schemes, all kinds of different things. And that's part of what makes him who he is. But Josh Berry, he picked up, seems like nearly a decade ago, Kyle, through the predecessor to iRacing, some of the old Papyrus sims, and certainly made its way to the iRacing platform. And, you know, between TJ Majors and Josh Berry, I think Dale Jr.'s got an eye for talent here, and Josh Berry proving why. He's been a terror in anything he drives, be it online or in the junior motorsports stable. He is certainly a very well-rounded, very talented driver.
Yeah, you can add William Byron to that list as well. But talking about Josh Berry right now in third, battling Mike Christopher Jr. in second. Two of the best short track racers in the country right now in their respective disciplines. Mike Christopher Jr. so good in the SK Modifieds, running the number 13 here tonight in honor of his late great uncle Ted Christopher, and running the 82 when we get at it at Stafford Motor Speedway, the number that his father raced when Mike Christopher was running modifieds. And then of course Josh Berry, who has done so well in late model stock car racing down in the South. Car in trouble, hood up and into the outside wall in turn 1.
That is Timmy Mangini. The good news is he knocked the hood back down. The bad news is he knocked the wall down in the process. You know, the damage model that iRacing has for these ARCA cars is their next generation damage model. And Tim, you know, no other sim out there has the realism of being able to literally break off a ball joint or bend a control arm or shear the hood pins off before the hood flies up. It just goes to show you how dedicated the team here at iRacing is to making the racing experience as real as they can. With the exception of maybe putting your life on the line, they do a fantastic job of replicating it.
Not only with these cars, but with these racetracks as well, as you're right on board with the All Things Automotive number 88 of Gary as he looks up to that number 13 of Christopher Jr. And not too far ahead is Parker Retzlaff in that number 42. He's won a couple of races here in the Grand National Tour. He's won a couple on the Modified Monday with the NASCAR Roots program, looking to go 5 for 5, and so far so good, but still a long way to work around here. We'll complete lap number 15 this time by, but these three, Tony, at least early in the race, they were good in qualifying. They look to be the class of the field here so far.
Yeah, already about 15% of the way into this one, and before you know it, we're going to see Parker Retzlaff catching the tail of the field, Kyle. These drivers spread out around the half mile here at Stafford as we look further back, and there you see the 4 Chase Cabry and Giovanni Bramonti, who's riding 7th. Gio's starting to close in just a wee little bit, and he was really good last week in South Boston. Bramonti was till incidents in the race put him out of contention, but Well, caution is out. We've got problems. Looks like off of turn number 2, I saw a car in the grass.
A blue car. I mean, is that Hydar? It might be. Travis Hydar was one of those final cars trying to stay on the lead lap in the 22nd position. Not sure if it is Travis or not, as we continue to focus on Gio Bramonti under this caution flag. 18 laps in. Fun fact also, where we had the incident a couple of laps ago where Mangini hit going into turn 1. There is safer barrier there in real world. One of the only short tracks that runs the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series program to have a safer barrier through the corners, as we get a look at the replay of what put us under the caution flag.
And it looks like Matt Mills may have overcooked it just a wee little bit. And you can actually see that safer barrier there, Kyle. They've even got that replicated in the sim. And you see Travis Hydar, that contact him, ripped the right front suspension off the car, and you see it flopping around and makes it very difficult to control, and certainly warrants the caution flag coming out here just shy of the 20-lap mark.
And it looks like they almost had it saved down there in 1 and 2, but a little more contact broke that suspension piece on that race car to bring it out, and we'll see if these leaders up front decide to come down onto pit road or not. It looks like most of these drivers will stay north of the pit road entry. You mentioned that lap 50 or so competition caution, so these drivers may be planning around that 50 lap mark, but right now under the caution flag for the first time will complete lap number 19, this time by Parker Retzlaff, continues to lead.
So Retzlaff in front of the field here. And of course, you're watching this race live on Track Pass on NBC Sports Gold. And Track Pass, the home of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, the ARCA Racing Series, the ARCA Menard Series, as well as the NASCAR Pinty Series, and a number of NASCAR home tracks around the country. And certainly would encourage you to grab yourself a subscription in the process. You can check out all of those events over the course of the season once they get back rolling. And it sounds like all the reports across the news are saying, Kyle, that we are going to be racing very, very soon with almost all of those series, at least those that run kind of around the southeast.
All I can say is expect an announcement shortly. And I'm thinking by probably the end of the week, maybe even tomorrow. But we're seeing states beginning to lift restrictions. And with that, automobile racing shops and racetracks are going to be able to operate here pretty quick. You mentioned NBC Sports Gold, the Track Pass feature. Earlier, you mentioned the YouTube page. I want to give Stafford Speedway's YouTube page a shout out. This race being streamed on that as well. A lot of great classic races put up on that page every day. Some great video driver profiles from the regulars at Stafford, and also the Bottom Shot podcast, where Paula Root and I sit down with a lot of the legends of Stafford racing. So just want to give them a quick shout out, as I know that this event being broadcast on that platform tonight as well.
Anybody who has to sit down with you has my utmost sympathy. So Paul, I appreciate even further now what you do as we get set to go. And hopefully now joining us in the booth, we got everything sorted out. Tyler Ankrum, driver of the LiUNA car, here as we get set to go green yet again with Retzlaff on the jump. And Tyler, you learning anything here, these opening 23 laps, other than you'd really like to be out there?
I mean, yeah, I would love to be out there, but I kind of like how these guys are moving around a lot. They're kind of running of a diamond in the corner. And actually, as Brett Moffitt spins out right there, my teammate, you see a lot of different guys running a different type of style here at this racetrack, and I really like it. I think it's a great type of driving style, and you even see guys running on the top a little bit. So I'm excited watching this race.
And we are now watching Giovanni Vermonti and Chase Cabry. That's a fight now for back around the 6th and 7th spot. Vermonti has P6. Tries to chase down Leighton Sabile, who currently rides 5th. And Tyler, you talked about running around with your teammates, guys like Brett Moffitt and others. I know it's a sim, and I know it's not the real world, but does this give you a chance to maybe learn the driving styles of some different drivers that maybe you don't normally get a chance to race around?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's a pretty tough situation, because when you're in this iRacing simulator, the stakes are a lot less. When you're in these things, honestly, a lot of times all you gotta do in the simulator is click the reset button. But when you're in the racetrack in real life, you're driving cars that are, that have the value of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, when you're in here, you can see drivers who are typically conservative be a little over aggressive. But I mean, I think it's really awesome clean racing out there right now.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic show, and certainly got to applaud what the Grand National Tour is doing. And we'll have you around for the rest of the night. If you see something that trips your fancy, just chime on in. We'll be glad to have the driver inside of a winner in the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoor Truck Series. So with that said, Nick Sanchez, Corey LaJoy, what we're watching at the moment, and guys, LaJoy, no surprise, starting to claw his way forward as now we go back to look at this battle for second. And just like earlier, Tim, Josh Berry is all over Mike Christopher Jr.
Yeah, it looks like he's putting a little more pressure on the 13 than he was on that first run. We got about 30 laps or so until we hit that halfway break or that halfway caution period. So they're still rotting a little bit. Parker Retzlaff might not be putting all his cards on the table yet. Sabile is right there in the background as well, as is Gio Romonti in the top 5. So for the most part, we saw in the first little run that we had these guys rotting a little bit, and then you look at that bumper shot from Christopher looking back to the rest of the field. There's a couple of side-by-side battles back there, Tony, but most of them in the second half of the field as these drivers try to pick up a spot. I think I saw Harrison Burton there to the inside doing some work.
Yeah, Harrison back there doing some work, and a lot of drivers starting to be able to get in a rhythm for the first time, I think, in really 3 races, guys. This has been, I'm probably going to jinx it, but this has been one of the cleanest and most strategic races we've seen so far.
Every time I say that, Tony, the caution comes out and we start wadding them up. So yeah, hopefully you didn't jinx it though. It's been a clean night. You said you get a look at Harrison Burton there, deep in the field, currently in the 14th spot, closing in on a side-by-side battle ahead involving Gilliland. Also in that battle, Derek Kraus is there, looking to the inside of Travis Braden. So some heavy hitters right now, racing hot and heavy outside of the top 10 for positions, looks like 11th on back as they work their way through turn 2.
Yeah, it's starting to get stacked up the further back you get. I know, Tyler, you were stuck in a lot of that throughout the evening. Is it kind of frustrating to race here, or you got a guy that just kind of won't go away?
Oh.
Well, Tim, I guess the answer to that question is yes.
Oh, trouble, back straight away.
Yeah, that's Travis Braden into the infield. No yellow flag out, but Timmy Hill is stuck up on the other side of the racetrack. The 56 car will bring out the caution flag. And he had a little incident a couple laps ago, guys, with Narducci. Narducci a few laps down. Timmy kind of sent him into the infield as that battle was going on. And it looks like something may have transpired there. Maybe not with that race car, but saw Braden in the infield, Hill on the outside. We'll see what brought out this yellow flag.
Yeah, Harrison Burton, Travis Braden, they were racing. We just looked at about the 11th, 12th spot, give or take, and looks like Braden just got the throttle a little heavy, lost it, made contact, and everybody else got tangled up in the aftermath. So good news for Travis Braden. There is no inside wall here at Stafford like there is at South Boston or Irwindale. So his mistake, despite a little bit of contact, Kyle, he's able to continue.
Continues on with minimal damage. As we go under caution flag for the second time, I believe, in this event. Get another look at it off of turn number 2. Just got loose. Timmy Hill went around. The 03 of Troy Talman involved. All running outside of the top 10 at the time of the incident.
So pit stops actually just concluding here as well. Most of the leaders surprisingly came down pit road. We did not expect them to make a trek down to service those cars. So look at the strategy it looks like. Parker Retzlaff led the race off at the 42. Chase Cabry comes out second. There you see Josh Berry. He lost a couple of spots. I don't know if the crew just wasn't quite up to snuff or what happened, but looks like maybe 4 tires of fuel for almost everyone, Tim.
And I think for the most part, everybody came down on pit road that was on the lead lap. A couple of drivers that stayed out on the racetrack are trying to get their laps back. You see Kaz Gralla there as well, and Ryan Blanchard going to try to get their laps back here.
So they'll probably get the wave around once we get ready to go green. That'll put, well, at the moment, Peter Bennett as the leader. And you know what? Got to give the guy a call, Kyle. One of your local boys trying to make things happen, but this time around the scoring will cycle through, and Retzlaff will be the leader with Gralla immediately in front of him. And I think that might have been Matt Mills up there behind the pace car looking to get that wave around. So certainly a little bit of a new race now, I would think. And Tyler, how much are these new tires really going to matter at this point in the event?
Oh, they're going to be huge. They're going to be huge in this race.
Well, and Kyle, I guess huge. I mean, that's about the simplest way to put it.
Yeah, we mentioned Bennett might have stayed out there an extra lap. I would not have wanted to be him if he was going to stay out and lead this race back to the green flag on 39, 38 lap older tires than the rest of the field. That would have been a very hairy turn one. Thankfully, I guess for him and probably for the rest of the field, he made a stop on the pit lane. Retzlaff and Capri will make up the front rows. We're about to go back to green.
Yeah, a couple of new players up there with Capri and even Leighton Seville. Sure, they were inside the top 5 or 6, but not quite up to this point in the running order as we work our way off turn 4. Green flags out. Retzlaff shot out of a cannon, and Chase Capri looked like Tim had some problems getting to the gas. So he's going to lose a spot, looks like, to Christopher Jr. for turns 1 and 2.
Seville got to the inside, just right in front of Barry, and it's going to get tight down here into corner number 3, continuing to be side-by-side for position number 2. And Landon Castle in this mix as well behind Barry, trying to pick up some positions here as we get closer to the halfway point in this one. And this is all behind Carter Retzlaff. Retzlaff beginning to check out from the field. Christopher Jr. looks to take second, and Seville pokes it over the inside, side-by-side at third.
Christopher gets the spot. We ride on board now with Josh Berry. Whoa, we see Capri, a little bobble. I have to check up out of turn number 4. And Kyle, looks like it happened just that fast here.
It does. Great save by Capri. Great save 2 laps ago by Mike Christopher Jr. while battling for that second spot off of turn 2. The car broke loose, so a couple of drivers ended up driving as a big wiggle there. Might have been some contact with Bramante, sending him up the racetrack.
Yeah, that looked like certainly bumper tag for sure. That thing darted way up the racetrack. Speaking of saves, that was a great one. And Tyler, just how tight is it down here? Your guys starting to get aggressive in the middle of the pack. I mean, I know you only ran the heats in the LCQ, but whoa, watch out, Bramante. He's around over in turn number 4, and everybody else continues through. And you see the left front ripped from that car. He will take the virtual tow truck to pit lane, it appears. Well, maybe not. We stay green, but Tyler, just how physical has it been out there tonight?
Oh, it's been super physical. And sorry about my mic earlier. As you can see, I'm not good at technology. But it's super, super tight out there. I mean, with this racetrack being such a tight pit as it is, being so flat and so abrasive, you can really see it about 10 laps of a run, how tight these guys are. You can really see how much time you methodically have to stay behind a guy's back bumper to try and pass him. Realistically, you gotta wait for him to make a mistake.
Of course, we've seen a few of those mistakes so far. Whoa, almost saw one there from Chase Capri. That car very, very out of shape. I mean, is this a very throttle-sensitive racetrack, Tyler, in these cars? It looks like a lot of guys just are on the edge when they put the throttle down.
Yeah, turn 4 is super brutal. It kind of feels like there's this drop-off when you get close to the wall, turn 4, so you'll see a lot of guys wiggle really big over there and actually probably lose the car at the very top of the wall. But yeah, this type of setup they got in the car, it's a little snug in the center, and so it's pretty loose off, so you really got to be careful. One thing you do is you probably drive it deeper in the corner and just trying to compensate for some of that time you lose off, but these guys up at the front, they got it all under control.
Well, keeping it under control is going to be the name of the game here as everybody in the top 8 or 10 spots, pretty much single file exception. This fight here, Corey LaJoy, Landon Castle, and Kyle, we saw on the screen there a moment ago, Landon, a former host of the Landon Castle qualifying challenge. You may not remember that. I know Tim does, but that was back when they would pay big money for a single lap. As caution is out here at halfway, we don't pay for one lap here tonight, though. We pay for lap number 100.
Yeah, I do not remember that, but again, it might be another motivation for me to go get a sim. I mean, if those challenges, do they exist still, Tony? If not, I think you should put up the money for one of those challenges, no?
I got 27 cents I can put up. Fastest lap at the end of this race, 27 cents. That might work. But You know, Landon was known at that point for being the guy that could qualify those cars towards the back of the pack as far as budgets are concerned into the show with a really big result, and that ultimately made him kind of the qualifiers. Again, this caution out for the halfway break, the halfway caution. As you watch further back, a couple of cars coming down pit lane looking to get tires and fuel. And Tim, you might know there's been rumors of Landon returning with that event. Who knows? That might come out sooner rather than later.
We spoke with Landon Castle during the Saturday Night Thunder show a couple of weeks ago, and he kind of hinted that it would be cool to bring that back. So I don't think there's been really any announcement made, but Landon, I think, has been toying with the idea. So if you're watching us here on NBC Track Pass, maybe you follow Landon on his Twitch stream, maybe give him a little poke and see if that Landon Castle qualifying challenge may be coming back in the future. You saw the 50 on your screen a couple of moments ago. That's Peter Bennett, not only a local at Stafford, Tony, but a former winner in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. It's been a while, though. Back in 2013, he won the season finale at Homestead, but a winner in that top oval series for iRacers on the iRacing service. So another one to keep an eye on in this second half, but he's got a long way to go, and those laps continue to click down as pit stops happening for those drivers near the back of the pack. Retzlaff continues to stay out on the racetrack and lead this thing.
Yeah, Todd Gilliland on pit road. Looks like he'll be taking 4 tires and fuel as the pace car makes its way off of turn number 4. He'll have service completed, and he will rejoin the fray. Kyle, I wouldn't think he'd have given up that track position that he had, but apparently he decided it was worth it. He'll fall back to around the 22nd spot now.
And there's only, 20 laps maybe going to be the difference between the drivers or the leaders that were in on that last caution flag around lap 38 and now on lap number 55. So I don't think he's going to be able to gain a whole lot here once you go back to green, especially since I haven't really seen the track widen out a whole lot, that is. Tyler mentioned these cars beginning with diamond in corners, moving up a little bit higher into turns 1 and 3, but it's going to be tough for Todd to come from the back to back.
Certainly is. This field, we anticipate will get the 1 to go signal this time by. And tonight's event, of course, sponsored by LiUNA, and part of that sponsorship, in fact, all that sponsorship, goes to benefit the track here at Stafford. And Tyler, you've been working with these folks with, expectations of a full racing season. Obviously, NASCAR has every intention of giving you that, but has some of this downtime given you a chance maybe to interact with them a little more and kind of learn more about what those guys do and the people they represent, who they work with?
Oh yeah, LiUNA International, it's an awesome company. We've had the ability to bring some representatives of LiUNA to the racetracks. The few racetracks we did get to race at this year, and they're awesome people. They're a ton of fun to be around, and they just represent the hardworking labor man. The guys out there building our streets and our roads, and even down to our electricians and plumbers. I mean, they're awesome people, and I think if it wasn't for companies like LiUNA in America, there wouldn't be much of America, and they're awesome. And I'm so blessed to have them as a sponsor.
Well, we certainly appreciate their involvement in motorsports at the Truck Series level, of course, here at the roots level, essentially, with the Grand National Tour, and giving back to probably a racetrack that had some of their workers putting some screws to it, so to speak, at some point over the years. The green flag is back out. Martin Retzlaff put his foot down on the throttle pedal and once again jumps out to the lead as the fight is on for P4, Tim.
Yeah, status quo up in front for your top 3. The battle's going to be for 4. The Sabile now stuck on that outside line. Here comes Corey LaJoie. Had a strong run going at South Boston last week. Yellow flag, though, is going to fly on the Speedway shortly after this halfway break.
Yeah, it looks like problems for car number 50, Peter Bennett, dragging some debris. The nose piece is shedded off of that machine. And Kyle,
it looks like a modified.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly your favorite car now.
Absolutely, looks like a modified out there, but obviously not going to favor him in this race as we get a look at what happened to Peter Bennett running toward the tail end of the field.
Yeah, he was racing right along there with Nick Sanchez. Looked like Travis Braden caught the outside wall, and that may have triggered the whole incident. Well, maybe not. Further contact in front of him, and oh man, Timmy Hill, Travis Braden, just victim of circumstances. Look at Todd Gilliland able to snake his way through there. That's the danger, Tim. You go back there and take the tires, and you're the only guy that drops back. get caught up in some of the messes that can happen.
You saw Timmy Hill get through that with a broken wheel, a broken suspension piece on that race car. Obviously, the 50 of Peter Bennett having that front end damage, and some of those drivers are going to have to either come down pit road and get that repaired, or get a fast repair or something, because it's going to be a long way to go here for those drivers, especially at the back of the field, outside the top 20, and you have less than 40 laps to get it done. The top 3 have been comfortable up here. They've got single file after these restarts. They've kind of rode a little bit, but now that battle for position 4 on back is going to be the battle coming down here, unless they have something for Barry, Christopher Jr., or Retzlaff.
And I'm not sure anybody does have anything for them. They have been pretty dominant, and I can only imagine what kind of jubilation there would be up in New England, Kyle, if a Christopher went to victory lane in a race that, yeah, sure, it's virtual, but these are still all the same drivers we see on Fridays and Saturdays, and in some cases Sundays. It would just be huge if Mike could take this thing to victory lane, I would think.
I mean, yeah, it's a virtual race, but it's still on a national stage with drivers from all walks of life. I mean, we're talking about Xfinity winners, truck winners, Snowball Derby winners, champions in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series and in the ARCA Menard Series. I mean, you name it, you name a series in this country, and it seems like there's somebody representing that series in this race. Corey LaJoie for the Cup Series. You know, there's a bunch of Xfinity guys. So it would be a huge win for Mike Christopher Jr. to pick up the race win at his home track on this incredible stage that this series has been able to put on here tonight for the Grand National Tour.
And not just at this level, Tim, for a guy like Mike Christopher to race against some of these drivers that he will see on Fridays and Saturdays and even Thursday nights on NBC with the ARCA Menard Series and the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. But, you know, it's neat for any user of the service to be able to jump in. I mean, I was in a practice the other day with some guys that are at the Cup level, and it's just neat for the average Joe to be able to jump on the server and, hey, look, here's one of your heroes making laps. It's really a neat engagement tool for new fans. It creates new fans, lets them bond with these drivers and really see that they are human beings. Something, I mean, you can't just go throw a football with, Tom Brady anywhere. iRacing gives you that opportunity.
It does. As we get ready to go back to green, keep in mind as well, the big storyline here, Parker Retzlaff looking for 5 big race wins in a row. If he can do it here, he might be, they've got the tire spin over there with the 13 car. We're side by side for a second. Retzlaff able to get away. Corey LaJoie sliding the nose.
Oh, LaJoie sliding the whole car, came down in front of Jagger Jones. They'll get rolling through the grass and will continue, but my golly, Josh Berry pulling no punches on Mike Christopher on that restart, Kyle. Looks like he was out of patience with that wheel and ride and said, I've got to go. That was his opportunity, and now looks like Christopher stuck up top as Sabile tries to drive by.
He had to go and didn't have the grip that he's used to with an SK Modified. His tires not as much rubber as Modified, and now he is stuck high in that outside lane. He'll lose a couple of spots. The relay goes by. Chase Cabry is there now, looking to the inside. They are lined up on the bottom. Derek Kraus, next car back as well, just into the top 5. So Christopher has his hands full as he bounces it off the wall again off turn 2.
Yeah, that car might have some damage from the contact with Berry and or a couple of encounters with the concrete in the most recent laps. So tough break for him. We'll see if the car's back up this up, back to the bottom, albeit not exactly position-wise where he was a few moments ago, currently being scored in the 5th spot. The good news is if we do have a restart, he is on the inside behind Chase Cabry and others. And now it'll be fun to see, Tim, if Josh Berry, and we're starting to see there on that turn 1 camera shot, if he can reel in Parker Retzlaff. And, we always ask the question, who can beat Retzlaff? Josh Berry might be that guy right now.
He's come close on a couple of occasions, but hasn't been able to crack into victory lane. But Josh Berry running in position number 2 right now, about 30 laps to go or so. Still got plenty of time, and about 0.4 of a second to catch him as you watch this battle. We're about 3rd on back. Sabile is in position number 3. Cabry, and here comes Christopher trying to get back to the back bumper as there's Berry, there's Retzlaff. There is your battle for the lead as they dive it down into corner number 1.
Yeah, last couple of times by Josh Berry, I believe, a little bit faster than Parker Retzlaff. And already, as you ride on board with the driver who claims Hendersonville, Tennessee is his home, you see some traffic. Timmy Hill up on the outside, soldiering on despite damage. And Parker Retzlaff nearly catching the concrete there yet again, Kyle.
Looks like Josh Berry slowly but surely closing in on Retzlaff, trying to end that winning streak that Parker is on right now. Berry looks like the only driver that is going to be capable of doing that here tonight, unless we get some late race cautions. Sabele, several car lengths back in third. Cabri, Mike Christopher Jr., they raced for the fourth spot. Christopher trying to rebound after his bobble on the last restart. So 2 cars to settle it as of now, with Retzlaff and Berry both on the inside lane, cooling their tires perhaps for a late race run with still 26 laps to go.
And Tyler, it almost looks like between the two of them, very uniquely different lines in both ends of the speedway, but it seems like it's working for them, at least for now.
Yeah, two very unique lines. Retzlaff's kind of running more of an arc into turn 1 and turn 3, and honestly, practically, I like Berry's line a lot more. He runs a lot straighter in the corners, and that's going to save the right front tire quite a bit. You know, when you want to run a wide arc in the entry corner, you're going to use that right front up a lot, so it's probably something he's got to keep an eye on. But I really like Berry's line, running more of a diamond, and he's getting a really strong run off the corners, and I think he's got a shot at this tonight.
Problems a moment ago with Mike Christopher Jr. again on the back, or off of turn 4. He got jacked sideways yet again, and now he's got him all kinds of backed up around him, Tim. His day has gone from very good to less than stellar in just a matter of laps.
He's got Talman to the outside, the 43 of Garrett Smithley back there with Kaz Rollin. They had to work through the back end of the heats and the last chance qualifiers to get into the show. Just in front of them, Landon Castle begins to move. He's back in the top 5 in a great battle between him and Derek Kraus for position number 4. And Tony, it's getting later in the day. You start seeing those shadows creep in a little bit. It's about 5:15 server time, so this racetrack might cool down a little bit as the sun begins to set. Track temp still around 94, so if we get a late race restart, that might play into the hands as well. As you see this racetrack, rubber, there's the 19 sideways. Landon Castle takes the opportunity, works to the outside, and Christopher is there as well.
And Castle going to get that run ahead of Derek Kraus and now clear him, and Christopher going to be lured into the outside as well, maybe trying to make the high line pass. And Tim, you talked about the temperature. Yeah, it has dropped a couple of degrees as far as track temp is concerned, giving them just a wee bit more grip, and every little bit of grip can help, Kyle. And you know what? Again, side by side here, this place is starting to get racier as we get further and further into the afternoon.
And as the temperature goes down later into this race, they'll get more and more grip as the track cools. As you see Christopher trying to continue to rebound in the outside lane, using some of the high side momentum to the outside of Krauts. And here comes Troy Talman, working to put his nose in there in the 03. Also Eric Smithley, Nick Sanchez, part of this big pack of traffic from about 5th on back as Castle pulls away in 4th.
Right on board with Troy Talman. He thought about diving in there on Derek Kraus, sending the dive bomb, thought better of it. Okay, we'll just doink him out of the way. Looked like it turns 3 and 4. And Talman is up in the Armco. He and Kraus both. And that almost, oh, hello. I don't think Kraus is too happy with him by any means. And the caution is out. Matt Mills, an unfortunate victim of circumstances. But Tyler, you're a driver. What happened there?
Yeah, Tyler.
It honestly just looked like one of those unfortunate racing situations, and I think Derek might have taken it the wrong way, but it doesn't seem like Derek's too happy.
I mean, come on, you guys are known to be mild-mannered behind the wheel. Why on earth would you get mad about a guy hitting you out of whatever spot you're in? As we take another look at it here.
I mean, it's a very important thing as a race car driver to keep your emotions in control. I always like to say the second you lose control of your emotions, you begin to lose the race, because we, as race car drivers, we have to get in this mode where we're almost robotic. You have to be able to take all emotion away from it, and you have to completely focus on the task in front of you. And yes, I will personally say I have seen the red, and I have gotten super mad, but it's all about controlling that, and it's all about being part of the solution, not the problem.
And it looked like what was the problem there, Tim, was Christopher. We've seen his troubles and that car having some problems after contact. Looked like he kind of checked up mid-corner, and that just caused a chain reaction that unfortunately Talman couldn't avoid, and I think Kraus may have took it the wrong way.
Yeah, it's a tough break there for those drivers running up in the top 5, but late in the race, you want to get everything that you can get. There might be a little more take here in these last few laps than there would be give. We're going to probably take the green flag with 14 laps remaining in this thing. So your top two have been the class of the field, not only tonight, but they've been the class of the field for the last couple of weeks in this Grand National Tour, Retzlaff and Barry. But if there's anybody that can crash the party, Sabile is going to start on the inside of row number 2. Landon Castle, solid run here tonight, sitting in position number 4. And Christopher Jr. still hanging around in position number 5. So if you need to go, you need to go now, especially if you're outside that top 5.
And I could see it getting rather physical as we get down the waning laps. Kyle, last week in South Austin, we saw Josh Berry and Parker Retzlaff end up having the same exact scenario where they were 1-2, but they barely got 2 laps in for Josh to get a shot at him. I'm curious if maybe he's left something in the tank here tonight.
Well, and like we heard a moment ago, if he has anything left, now's the time to show it. I mean, Retzlaff has swept this series so far. He's led about every lap here tonight, whether it be through time trials earlier. I don't think he ran a heat because top 6 advanced, and in this feature event so far. So first 85 laps belong to Retzlaff. Barry, if he has anything left, he's going to have to show it on the restart. He'll be on the outside. Sabele and Castle's been strong. A couple of Stafford regulars in the 5th spot with Hydar, and then Christopher Jr. in that 3rd row. So it'll be interesting here with Christopher getting inside of Hydar. As they double up, we'll have about 13 laps to run.
And I want to give a shout out before we go green to those guys in the back half of the top 10. Hydar, who's had some recovery tonight. Jagger Jones came from last chance race. Moffitt, Smithley, Casgrala, all have driven a fantastic race to this point, starting in the back half of the field, racing their way into the top 10. Green flag is out, and with less than 15 laps to go, here we go. All the marbles on the table, guys, as we work into turn number 1. You kind of feel the intensity already picking up.
A little side-by-side action for position number 3. The 89 of Landon Castle on the outside may lose that spot to Sabile, and the 13 has an opportunity to cool down his tires on that caution flag, and now works to the inside of the Blue Emu number 89 as they battle for position number 4. And Jagger Jones starting to come to the front of the field, might get a top 5 out of this one. Right on board, looking back from Sabile and down into corner number 3.
Saw Christopher sideways there on the throttle, get that car on the very edge of control. Meanwhile, there's Castle sideways, now with Jagger Jones underneath of him, and Hydar trying to stick his nose there in the middle of that one. These guys are really getting after it. Again, it is crunch time. Really no surprise here, and kind of surprised, if anything, Kyle, that we haven't seen a lot more bumper tag at this juncture.
Yeah, no doubt. Brett Moffitt, part of that battle as well, as Landon Castle stuck in that outside lane. Here's Hydar to the inside, the street stock Stafford regular against a NASCAR veteran of all of NASCAR series, in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series, Landon Castle. And now Brett Moffitt joins the fun as well. Garrett Smithley in the 43. So great racing, great clean racing right now from about 5th on back.
By filing down, some one car on the apron trying to get position. That is Nick Sanchez. He gets it on Matt Swanson underneath old blue. Looked like back there in the, about the 10th spot or so. And Garrett Smithley riding along there in the corner of your frame. This is, again, great racing, Tim. And while we watch this up front, the top 2 have pulled away, but really nothing else happening between them as they just continue to make laps faster than everyone, but not faster than one another.
Yeah, Barry really hasn't been able to do a whole lot with Parker Retzlaff, about 2 car lengths or so in between them, and they have a gap of about a second back to Sabile. So if Barry has anything left, he's got to dig deep. I think Retzlaff might have been saving a little bit throughout this run as well. They'll come by this next time and have 6 laps to go. Looks like they have this field covered, Tony, but 3rd on back, definitely up for grabs. Sabile has a little bit of a gap on Christopher, and then that battle around the 10th place position is starting to get intense. I think Sanchez may have leaned into the bumper of Moffitt that last time by.
Oh yeah, it's getting good back there for about the 8th spot or so. The 6 of Nick Sanchez, the 24 of Brett Moffitt, all back behind the 89 of Landon Castle. As we continue to see the top 2. Great fight further back, and there it is. And while we watch these guys, Tyler, how is a guy like Parker Retzlaff just so good and so consistent? It seems no matter what we throw at him, he's always able to have something left.
It's awesome to watch. I've been watching the top 2 guys pretty intensely, and he has an awesome line in the 1. I think Barry's kind of burned up his right front tire. He can't get the car turned in the center of the corner like Retzlaff can.
sorry, Landon Castle around, Matt Swanson around. Tyler will stay green, but with 4 laps to go, that pretty much ends Landon Castle's race.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him. He's an awesome guy. He's super fun to be around, but I think Reslav's got this one in the bag. He's pulling Barry now, and I think he did the classic short track move, get the guy in second close enough to make him push his own equipment, and I think he's done exactly that.
And it's certainly starting to look that way, and that's saying something considering Josh Berry's the guy behind you. He's very good here, both in the sim and in real life, having experience in market cars, trucks, Xfinity cars. Much he's driven everything but a cup car at some level, and certainly proving that he is one of the better drivers that just hasn't quite been able to have the right opportunity come together. Yes, he's in Junior Motorsports, but you got to find somebody to help sponsor that deal, and as soon as they do, Junior has said they will put him in Xfinity car as best they can. But meanwhile, it is Parker Retzlaff with the white flag in his windshield. He has got 1/2 of a mile and now 2 more corners left, separating him from victory number 5 between the NASCAR Roots iRacing League and the Grand National Tour. And Parker Retzlaff still unstoppable, win number 5 here of the spring iRacing season. He will take victory in the LiUNA 100 at Stafford Motor Speedway. Josh Berry, Leighton Sabile, Mike Christopher Jr., and Jagger Jones rounding out the top 5. Tim, this is the Jimmy Johnson of iRacing at the moment. Nobody seems to be able to stop him.
At least on the short tracks that we've been running the last couple of weeks, Parker Retzlaff has had everybody's number. Josh Berry has been solid. We've seen Leighton Sabile really improve since this first Grand National Tour race a couple weeks ago, but Retzlaff is the man of the hour, picks up his 3rd consecutive Grand National Tour win. Tony, you think there's any pressure for next week at 5 Flags for him to sweep this deal?
I think there is. I mean, we started this whole thing, we thought, hey, we'll have a bunch of drivers have a shot, and they have, but Retzlaff just has a little bit more in the tank every single week. And next Monday night, again, on the NASCAR Roots iRacing series, we'll be at Thompson Speedway in Connecticut. As you look at the results from this one, Retzlaff going to try to make it 6 in a row there. That's going to be a pretty tall order, but seems like he is up to the task. And going down through the running order, Kyle, a couple of names sticking out. Travis Hydar and Mike Christopher Jr., along with Ryan Blanchard, really making the Stafford contingent proud.
Yeah, Christopher had a good run all night, finishing in the 4th spot, just ahead of Jagger Jones, Nick Sanchez, then Travis Hydar, who, again, had a very solid night, start to finish. Ryan Blanchard, who is strong all night long as well, and has been strong on this platform on the Stafford Friday Night League, running in the 8th spot. Moffitt and Timmy Mangini rounding out the top 10. A nice recovery from him after pounding the wall in turn 1 early.
Yeah, and there you see Peter Bennett. Todd Gilliland made his way back up 12th after pitting for tires. LaJoy after that spin. Landon Castle, the end of the lead lap after getting moved there late in the race. Swanson Hill also with some misfortune as drivers further back having issues throughout the night, multiple laps down. And must say, Tim, it's... Again, it's been a good night at the racetrack despite some of the chaos. This is what we normally expect at your general NASCAR home track. A bunch of good racing, a few tempers, a few wrecked race cars. You never like to see them, but it's part of the deal. But ultimately, pretty accurate to what you would see at any given night here at Stafford, I would think.
Yeah, saw some great heat racing. The last chance qualifiers really were exciting, put on a show. And you saw some of those names on that 3rd page that had some bad luck early in this one. Guys like Harrison Burton, Gio Bramonti, Ty Gibbs was a little frustrated, I believe, at the start of this one. But man, oh man, what's it going to take to stop that 42 that you see on your screen there, Parker Retzlaff?
I don't know, but maybe Kyle Rickey can find out as he's caught up with Parker Retzlaff, now a 5-time winner here in the COVID series, if you will, between the Grand National Tour and the NASCAR Roots Series. Kyle, you get a chance to talk to greatness.
Well, let's talk to him. Parker, the streak rolls on here tonight in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. It's been fun to watch you the last couple of weeks in this Grand National Tour, picking up race wins at Irwindale and South Boston the last 2 weeks. What was the key here tonight? Obviously, you qualified well, and it continued throughout the entire 100-lap main event.
Yeah, I mean, we had a really solid qualifying effort, and I just tried to stay out front all race, and I saved a little bit, and we had just enough to hold off Josh Berry.
How much did your lane change over the course of the race? Did the track change much? We talked about the temperature going down a bit, track taking a bit more rubber. How much of that do you notice behind the wheel?
Yeah, I mean, the lane changed a little bit. I was using the apron a little bit into turn one to help the car turn on older tires, but overall, it didn't change that much.
We go to, I believe, on Monday night, Thompson Speedway in Connecticut as well, a completely different racetrack. What do you know about that speedway, that 5/8 mile high banked racetrack, completely different from Stafford?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a lot different than all these races where I think the top is going to be better. But overall, I feel pretty confident about that, and we might be able to keep the streak going there.
Absolutely. 5 in a row. It's been fun to watch. Congratulations here tonight,
Thank you.
holding off some of the best in the business.
Thank you. I just got to thank Ponzi, Eco Tracks, Iron Horse Loggers, Logwood for Kids, Aaron Plemons for spotting tonight, everyone that supports my sim racing and real racing, and just you guys for putting this on.
All right, Parker. Congratulations again. Thanks for taking the time here post race, and we'll see you in a couple of nights, if not
All right.
before then.
Well, that's wow. It seems like Parker's got the whole victory lane speech down, and Tim, the guy that finished second, unfortunately, is starting to get pretty good at the runner-up speech to that 42 car.
We're getting way too good at this, Josh Berry. Another second place finish. What else did you need out of this 88 car to get up there and battle with the 42 at the end?
I'm not really sure. Really, it was really hard to pass, and Parker was really good. I think we were both really close. It just was going to come down to who was in front of who there, and I don't know. I felt like I was hoping they'd go green for a while. I thought that was my best chance because he could definitely fire off a little better than me on the restarts. But all in all, it was fun. It's a pretty clean race, and got a lot more green flag in, so it was fun.
About to say track position is key here. We didn't see a whole lot of that lap traffic that we saw at South Boston and in the first race at Irwindale. You got the top six. You got to go straight to the feature. How key was that in this race as a whole?
Oh, it's definitely big. I mean, that's definitely what the goal of what you want to do. The heat races were a lot calmer this week, so you didn't see as many wrecks and stuff, so it wasn't quite as bad. But like I said, track position was key. I was kind of surprised that we pitted. I was wasn't really sure if we'd pit, and I was debating on taking two tires there to just try to get in front of Parker. But like I said, it was fun. It's, this short track racing, and it's a great track. Stafford is a great place. I don't really run there a whole lot, so it was fun to do that, and it was a good show.
Grand National Tour finale coming up next week at Five Flags. What's your thoughts on the racetrack in the Florida Panhandle, and can we get this 88 car to victory lane?
I think so. Like I said, it's just gonna just take beating Parker. He's really fast, and I think we can do it. Like I said, I have some experience at Five Flags, so hopefully that'll pay off. And all in all, it's just fun to run the all things automotive, iRacing Chevy, and like I said, we'll see you next week.
I was going to say, we're getting used to the second place deal. Saturday Night Thunder coming up on Saturday. You're going to go out and get that thing, right, and move up one more spot?
Yeah, that one should be exciting. They changed the rules a little bit where we're going to have to start last as long as we make the show, so that should be a little bit more exciting. But Dover's a good track for me too, so I definitely seem to run better on the bigger tracks, so I think it'll be fun.
Congratulations on another good run tonight.
Yep, thank you.
There's Josh Berry finishing in position number 2, Tony. And we keep talking during the Saturday Night Thunder deal, whether it's Modified Monday or here. It seems like that second place position is one that Josh Berry continues to get in. I guess second is better than any other position except for that first place, right?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to win, but if you can't win, second's probably where you want to be. And if you're not second, you want to be in third, and so on and so forth. And the guy who did finish third tonight, this has almost got to be like a win for him. Leighton Sabile, haven't had a chance to talk to you in any of these broadcasts, but you have been steadily getting better week after week. And, in that famous JD Motorsports red, you're representing the little guy here tonight, it looks like.
Well, thank you. Man, that was awesome. I've been pretty decent in these heat races, a second and a first these past few weeks, but it's been tough to try to translate to the main. And I thought tonight we had a really good show in there. My spotter Cole Raz really helped me out on those restarts. Stafford's one of those racetracks where you got to get to the bottom as soon as you possibly can. And, we were able to avoid all the carnage. And I mean, what little carnage there actually was, I thought that was a really clean race. And, I'd say that was a pretty good finish for our team.
Yeah, had a solid run. Seems like Barry and Red Slap and even some of the other guys have kind of been in their own zip code, their own universe, if you will, and everybody else kind of left to deal with the crumbs for that part. But how much help does this give you now, confidence-wise, knowing that some of the best drivers, and even for that matter, iRacing drivers on the planet are in these events to be able to run solid all race and earn a third place finish, not just luck into one.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This series that was put on by Truex Management Group is by far the most competitive that I've ever been in on the iRacing side of things. We've got drivers from the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, ARCA, all the best guys that you see out there on the real racetrack competing over here in the virtual race, and man, it just feels really good to be able to run up there with them guys. I've actually never had any real racing experience of myself. I drove a school late model around Irwindale back when I was living in California. But other than that, I don't have any real experience. So to be able to run up front with those guys really means a lot.
And chalk one up for the front office guys, as we've said. I mean, you do a lot of PR work, design, things like that for JD Motorsports, the teams you work with. Does this give you some bragging rights now in the garage?
I don't know about bragging rights, so to say, but man, anytime we can get one of our JD Motorsports cars up front, it always feels good. And I just got to give a shout out to all those guys that are waiting to get back to the shop anxiously, so that way we can go back racing. I know that this whole pandemic has not been the greatest to our team, but we have really strong hearts, and we're trying our best to go out there and compete week in and week out. And I'm just looking forward to getting back into the shop and going back into the swing of things.
Well, I think that can be said for everybody. So congratulations, Leighton Sabile. A third-place run here tonight in the number 97 car. And before we pack them up and leave out for ultimately Thompson, so not a far virtual drive up the road here in Connecticut, thoughts from Kyle Rickey, your first Grand National Tour race here at Stafford. What are your thoughts here as we get ready to leave everyone?
Oh, absolutely. A great night. It's great to see these short tracks, whether it be Irwindale or South Boston, here at Stafford on a national platform. Want to thank the Truex Management Group for putting these events on. They've been fun to watch the last couple of weeks, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it here tonight. It was fun working with you guys, and great race. And, he said it best a moment ago. The field is stacked, whether it be the regulars from the short tracks that we're racing at, or the National Series of NASCAR and the ARCA Series and former K&N champions. It's just a great field from top to bottom, and I've really enjoyed myself here tonight.
Well, we've enjoyed having you and certainly enjoyed the racing, and we would have enjoyed it even more, Tyler Ankrum, if you could have made the feature, but we wouldn't have gotten your insightful commentary and some of your thoughts as, things like tires are huge in that quite sense. But, this has got to be fun for you and for LiUNA to be a part of this and certainly giving back to these various weekly tracks, in particular here tonight, Stafford.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, our short tracks are one of the things that keep NASCAR alive. This is our funnel to get more drivers into the NASCAR Top Elite Series. So it's really fun to see these guys come out and race in the virtual world. And obviously, thank you to LiUNA International for sponsoring this race and helping the short tracks out there. They mentioned Stafford Speedway, and I know that's one of the tracks that has struggled over the years, and that's one of my home tracks. I grew up in San Bernardino, California, so with Truex Management, what they're doing with this tour is I appreciate a lot, because I'm a huge fan of the short track series, and it sucks that I didn't make it, but you know what they say, you win some, you lose some. So we'll come back swinging next week.
Well, we certainly look forward to that. Of course, Five Flag Speedway, the host next week, a place I know you've been with the Super Late Model, attempting to run the Snowball Derby in certain years. So we certainly wish you the best of luck next week. And Tim, as we look on the screen about the Grand National Tour T-shirts, where 100% of the proceeds from those sales go to benefit these short tracks as well. It's good to see all the support from everyone in the industry for the various short tracks, like Tyler mentioned. They are the funnel, ultimately, for all the big series, and without these, the top tier can shrivel right up. So these are certainly as important to anything.
Absolutely, and especially with these uncertain times that we have upcoming here, be sure to support your local short tracks, buy a t-shirt for this Grand National Tour, and support these 4 short tracks that we have here. 5 Flags coming up next week. This is the great thing about this Grand National Tour, competition-wise, 4 different racetracks, and these drivers all have to perform. We've seen Parker Retzlaff and Josh Berry up at the front for most of these races. Leighton's been really good as well. We'll see who can kind of step up here and kind of make a splash next week. Nick Sanchez was doing some work at the end of that, finishing in position number 6, so wouldn't be surprised to see him near the top of the board at the Valvoline 150 in 1 week time. But the Grand National Tour wrapping up next week. We'll see what everybody has at that 5 Flags Speedway, but a great race here tonight at Stafford.
Absolutely a fantastic race, and we look forward to doing more iRacing coverage here as the world seems like it may be slowly beginning to open back up to race cars in various places of the country. We certainly hope that is the case sooner rather than later. But we send our congratulations to Parker Retzlaff, who has made it 5 in a row during this span. He'll look to make it 6 next Monday night at the Thompson Speedway here also in Connecticut. Part of Modified Monday in the NASCAR Roots iRacing Series. Can he make it 6 in a row? Find out 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the NASCAR Roots social channels. On behalf of the entire crew here tonight, Tim Terry, Kyle Rickey, Matt Thomas, Tyler Ankrum, our driver guest analyst, my name's Tony Stevens, saying good night, God bless, and we hope to see you sometime at a racetrack near you. Good night, everybody.
Looking to stake their claim in the tour. Let's get ready for our main event in American Flat Track.
Track position, very important on any circuit.
It's going to be a one-on-one duel for the win down to the last lap.
That was an incredibly dominant run.
But I tell you what, Dave, that car is hooked up. You can see it turn the center.
And to victory lane.
This is what I grew up watching. Riders tough, over 130 mile per hour, mile racetrack, hands off the handlebars. I love it.